Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Are you guys like full on Merry Christmas mode or what? I'm always digging the Christmas tunes, Christmas vibes. I love it. We had a holiday open house at my house yesterday, and it was a huge success. It was so much fun. I loved seeing you guys. Hope you scored some awesomeness and got to really take advantage of chatting with a lot of our essential oil experts, and there was lots of just DIY and Christmas ideas. And I just love chatting with you guys. So thanks to everybody that came. If you missed it and you have some questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out because hey Chantel, I am a huge advocate for supporting anybody that wants to up-level their health. Okay, and this message that we're going to talk about today in looking at the holiday season, and how we're kind of in the middle of it, right? And how you're going to go into it, into the next 2 weeks, right? And even into the new year. What's that going to look like for you? So this message is not unfamiliar, but I hope you guys get some good little nuggets because if you are looking to improve your health, if you are just kind of motivated to take out compromising, right? There's things that I'm all about compromising. It's what I teach my kiddos every single day. But there's certain things that we have to stand strong in, right? And not allow any compromises to tweak themselves in. And again, I'm all about balance. And it's not that you can't have or do the things that bring you joy. Obviously I promote that. But it's making sure that you're not, that you're still being smart about them, right? And that you're not doing things that you are going to absolutely, just regret because it all adds up, right? And you don't want to come out of the holiday season feeling like crap at the end of the day, right? So, by the end of our chat here, I just hope you feel a little bit more informed and that you're just really clear on how you want to kind of go into the next couple weeks, right? But there's good news, right? And I want to begin with our current state of affairs because all of us are kind of in the same boat right now. The holidays are here and there's really nothing you can do about it, right? So even if you're not like me and you as I said, I dig the holiday music and the lights and the glitter and everybody is a little bit more grateful this time of year, right? Depending on what's happened in their lives. And I really like that. So I want to start off and I want you guys to think back to your childhood, right? Because holidays when we were children were always just filled with joy and excitement. And, it was so fun, right? And I want you to think about at what point did that change for you? Okay. Because there was a survey that was conducted by Consumer Reports National Research Center that asked people what they dreaded most about the holiday season. And the results were exactly kind of what you would expect. 68% dreaded crowds and long lines. 37% dreaded gaining weight. 37% dreaded getting into debt. 28% dreaded gift giving, 25% dreaded traveling, 24% dreaded seeing certain relatives, 16% dreaded having to attend Christmas parties or events, 15% dreaded having to be nice. I'm assuming this means to the people that you are not looking forward to seeing in your family. And 12% were dreading holiday tipping. Okay, so I always challenge people. It's interesting when you ask people what they dread. You could always look for things that you dread, or you can kind of flip it, right? And I always like to flip it and hop on the gratitude train, right? But I want people to think about the joy associated with all the negativity, right? So, I mean, is it possible to make all of the above fun, right? All the things that they dreaded. So traveling, seeing certain relatives, shopping, gift giving, eating, crowds. Can you make these things fun versus dreading them, right? So, maybe I'm a little too idealistic, but at the same time, I do believe it's possible to maintain our health and remain stress-free during the holiday season. Okay. So if you think I'm completely nuts, that's okay. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So I want you to perform a little exercise with me. Okay. So let's get the party started. So before, I jump in and share a handful of strategies that are just kind of guaranteed to help you make the year a little bit better. As long as you actually follow through with them, you can sit there and listen to this till you're blue in the face, right? You got to actually do the work. I want you to perform this little exercise. Okay. So this exercise, you can do for yourself, or you can, share it with us, what you're kind of feeling on it. But I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave it with you to kind of decide, because, the idea is to get really clear on what you want, because fuzzy targets, they don't get done. Period. Right? So if you're leaving it open to interpretation, that's not going to give you your desired outcome that you really envisioned, right? So I want you to spend time with your thoughts and begin to see yourself living out what the next 2 weeks is going to look like for you. Okay, so we are, it is December 10th. So we are 15 days away from Christmas, and 15 days away from Christmas. And what is that going to look like for you? So who do you want to spend time with? What kind of foods do you want to eat? Okay, what do you picture yourself eating? What presents do you picture yourself purchasing? What gifts would you like to receive? Where would you like to be located? What are some of the things that you would like to do? And really, if you were to look at the next, even let's go 20 days, right? Since we tend to do things, after Christmas. Let's go the next 20 days, okay? If you look back on the next 20 days, what would you deem to be successful? Okay, so every successful outcome begins with just a really clear plan on how you're going to go into this. So I want you to take a couple minutes. I want you to, write down, even if you're watching this after, hit pause and write down a response to a few questions. And again, share them or keep them sacred, whatever you want. But I don't want you to make this a jacuzzi experience, okay? So I'm going to share some strategies with you. I want you, but I need you to go into it. Who are you going to spend your time with? What foods are you going to eat? What presents are you going to purchase? What gifts would you receive? Where would you be located? And how do you define a successful holiday season? Okay, so those are your questions that you're going to answer quickly off the top of your head. There you go. So you're committed, right? You've established what you would like to do. And I want you to kind of jump in and just be ready for it, okay? So the key is, self-awareness is not easy, but it becomes simpler when you're clear on your desired outcomes, okay? So the first strategy that I'm going to suggest to you in order to stay healthy and stay stress-free during the holidays is to be aware. Sorry, just one sec. Dave?
I'm taking it out to the garage door.
Okay, cool. Thanks. So the first strategy to stay healthy and stress-free is to just really be aware, okay? And, awareness is a powerful skill. And from what I've seen, it's the difference between, making your goals real and just kind of completely missing the mark, okay? And I think it's really because we live in just this extremely on-the-go society, just completely full of distractions. And we've kind of let that become our new norm, right? And as a result, many of us just make really poor choices when it comes to, the foods we eat and what we're putting into our bodies. And then we ignore, in the process, we ignore listening to our bodies and what it's telling us. And because we're so on the go, we even sometimes ignore, even the people, not just our body, right? What our body's telling us, but we ignore the people that we love the most. And we just really struggle with being productive during this time of year. So my challenge to you is to be, extremely aware during the next week. And I want you to really pay attention to kind of these things. First, the food and drinks that you're putting into your body. Okay. So, you're going to Christmas parties, and it's, I personally, I'm a sucker for like a dip. If you have a good dip, I'm in there, right? But is it going to serve your body? What's your body going to be telling you? The time, I want you to pay attention to the time that you allocate to being with your family, like physically present, all in with your family. I want you to pay attention to the money that you're spending. Set a budget, and not a budget that you think everybody else expects, but a budget that actually works for you within the next couple months of your life, right? Because for some people, it's not December that's really stressful. It's actually January and February when they're paying off December, right? What your budget can look like, and start to get creative, right? I've done a few classes on just even some DIY stuff that you can do that is super cute and personal and healthy and really cost effective for you, okay? I want you to pay attention to the attitude that shows up when you're traveling. So if you go in, just like with any situation, if you go into whether it's that 3-hour car ride or that plane ride or that train ride, however you're getting there, pay attention to even your emotions on how you're feeling about traveling, okay? Pay attention to your amount of physical activity. So obviously I talk about this pyramid of wellness all the time. And over the next few weeks, it is not, especially if you're going to be eating and drinking things that your body might not be used to, it is not the time to get stagnant, even more stagnant than we already are, right? So paying attention to your physical activity and making sure that, if your goal is to come out of the next 2 weeks not, gaining a ton of weight and feeling like garbage about yourself, how do you say, okay, even though it's freezing outside, my walk every day, or maybe you give yourself the gift of a gym membership. Maybe that's what, instead of like your you and your spouse buying each other something ridiculous, or your parents saying to you, hey, what would you like for Christmas, and you saying, oh, nothing, or a list of things that actually aren't helpful for you. Ask them to go to your local gym and say, can you get me a gift certificate from there, right? Because all of these gift certificates then add up, and you have yourself a year gym membership, right? If that's your thing. But pay attention to your physical activity specifically in the next 2 weeks, not just for the intake and output of calories, but stress, right? Stress management, because you can come out of this like so much better on the other side, right? And pay attention to the people that you're interacting with. If we all have those family members that you're not necessarily ecstatic about hanging out with. They're not your people, and that's okay. Then you don't spend a lot of time doing that, right? One afternoon is not going to kill you, but don't pour your energy before and after that afternoon into what it looked like, right? Go show up at your family event, and then don't dwell on the stupid thing that person said, or that they get too drunk every year and say stupid stuff or whatever, right? Don't even dwell on that. Go be, and then don't live there, right? Because while they don't care that they're sucking the energy out of you, you're then living in that space afterwards, right? So, you know, the goal is that you want to ask yourself these questions as you are engaging or about to engage in all of these different activities, right? So, you know, for example, if you're about to, you know, just consume a ton of just sugary treats, you know, all of those unhealthy sour cream cheese based dips that are put out that I'm such a sucker for. You know, ask yourself, and I try to ask myself this regularly, you know, does this decision serve me, right? And will it get me closer to that end goal? Okay. So at the beginning of this, you established, what do you want your end goal to look like? What will a successful holiday season look like? And does it get you to the end goal? And is there a better choice that I can actually make, right? So maybe it is making sure that you get that workout in so that you are going into it, you know, kind of right in the right mind frame. And you know, you've already kind of burned some calories, right? So Chantel's saying, I always bust the budget. I do love this time of year because my family is stuck with me, even if they don't want to be. Absolutely. Right there, it is the time where, you know, no one else has anywhere to go. And I love that everything just kind of shuts down. Right. So, the key is though, you know, just setting those standards, right? And I mean, only you know what your standard is, but decide what you believe to be important and make sure that, you know, I love your family is stuck with you. I 100% agree. So, I mean, self-awareness is not easy, but it becomes simpler when you're just really clear on your desired outcome. So here's a question. In what area of your life will you be hyper aware of during the holidays? What area? Even just choose one. So whether this is your emotional state, whether this is your monetary state, whether it is your physical state, what area do you know every year come January, you're just like, crap. Why? How did that happen? Why did I let that happen? How did I get to this space, right? Because after this week, what I want to talk to you guys about in the coming weeks is setting yourself up for goals, right? But it's if you're going to then spend, you know, those first 2 weeks of January, there's no point in doing a, you know, crash course diet. And I'm not even a huge advocate of New Year's resolutions. But, you know, I want you guys to kind of set that out, right? So just make a decision. And I'm sure even if you have a monetary goal, a lot of your Christmas shopping might be done. It might not be. I don't know if you're a Christmas Eve shopper, but really just hold yourself accountable and you will feel like a total rock star when you come out the other side, okay? My next kind of big tip really talks about the fundamentals of food, okay? So I talk a lot about how, I mean, we live in this vessel and we fuel it, right? Just like you put fuel in your car, you put fuel in your body. And particularly during, you know, times like cold and flu season, right? We're kind of in the middle of that as well. And, you know, depending on what food you're fueling yourself with, this could either be supporting or hindering your immune system too. So, you know, I'm sure you've heard before, but you know, food is the fuel. So you got to constantly be thinking that. So, you know, the fundamentals are really important because, you know, you can control when you eat, you know, so avoid any foods at least 3 hours before going to bed, right? Because if you are not sleeping properly, then this again could either hinder or support your immune system as well and your mood and everything, right? So if you're already dreading going into whether it's a family function or a holiday party or traveling or whatever, if you haven't slept well, that's no good, right? So try not to eat a few hours before you're going to bed. Don't skip meals, okay? I'm an intermittent faster, which means that I consume all of my calories within a shorter period of time, but I don't my meal times just look a little bit different, right? So I consume the right amount of calories for my body and my activity level, but I do it within 8 hours. So I eat from 10 to 6 every day. And then I'm done. But I'm in bed by like 9 p.m., right? So pay attention to start at, and if you're really trying to own your schedule, start at when you're going to go to bed, and then you want your last meal or time that you put something in your mouth to be 3 hours before that, okay? So that's kind of how I established my 8-hour non-fasting time, was based on actually my bedtime, okay? But don't skip meals, okay? So even eating, small meals throughout the day, it's just you want to get out of the habits of thinking about your meals having to be a big breakfast, a big lunch, and a big supper, right? It doesn't have to look like that. You can do with whatever serves your body. But, and I've gone to a few Christmas parties already this year where you go into it and people are like, oh, I'm starving. I haven't eaten all day. I've been waiting for this party. And I'm like, no, don't not eat all day because you've been waiting to consume all of your calories at this 3-hour party, right? That doesn't serve your body, and that's not weight loss 101. Okay, your body's actually going to hold on to that. And I have entire classes exactly around this. So if you search the page for whether it's fasting or nutrition, there's entire classes on it. And even just while you're in the midst of the holiday, just doing things like not just eating right before bed, but just even like chewing your food. And I'm, kind of a joke in our family. My husband and I are kind of, we're fast eaters. We were fast eaters before we had kids and just wanted to eat so that, we could then focus on our kids. Chew your food. When you're making your plate, eat the rainbow. Eat the rainbow, eat the rainbow. So make it just really colorful, right? And if you can fill, instead of filling half your plate with the dips, go to that veggie tray first, or go to that where the salads are, and then work your way over, right? But even we took the kids on a cruise last week, and I was very aware, like even at their big buffets, I'm like, I am going to where the salads are first, and I'm filling half of my plate up with vegetables, and then the other half of my plate was whatever, right? But in my head, I came out of it with a goal, right? I'm just like, I knew when we got home, I was coming then into the Christmas season, and I was so stoked. I said to my husband, I'm like, all right, I came out of it. I'm not like, my skin will break out like crazy if I just go gung show and just like start eating whatever. But if I can come out of it with like clear skin, my gut doesn't hate me, and I haven't gained any weight, that I'm like golden, right? So again, this is what you're doing. You're going to go into this with a goal in mind. Consume at least 5 to 6 servings. Again, just like every other day, try to really eat your vegetables. And if you're going to a party at night, even if it's don't skip meals, but just eat a ton of vegetables throughout the day, right? And then if you can, right, just fight that urge. And if you can, just stay away from the dips and the gravies and all of that kind of stuff, you'll thank yourself later, right? Not so easy. As I said, I'm a sucker for a good dip. But another really great strategy is that I've seen people do is just really even stocking your freezer with really healthy meals, or when you do your grocery shopping, knowing that you're going to be, consuming other calories through holiday foods, just really stocking, only buying vegetables and only buying real food, not even letting, if you are the type of person that you're just like, I can't say no to a cracker, or I can't say no to, if that's where your willpower is sitting, don't even let that stuff in your house this time of year. Don't even do it. And, then when you're, choosing your meals, or whether you are planning in shopping and all of these other things, how can you just be ready, right? Versus going, Oh, I got home from work late, and then the kids still have all their extracurricular activities, saying, I'm going to eat something unhealthy on the go in the middle of this season. Like, that already can happen throughout the year, right? But again, there's entire classes on meal planning. But really, how can you set yourself up for success within your house? Um, you know, this time of year, particularly when we're just surrounded by dips and sugar. Because if you are going to attend a holiday party with even, like a dinner buffet or just a ton of goodies, it's important to take your stand before, make that proclamation, and just completely not be defeated by the buffet. And it's such an important tip because overconsumption will then take place. And then there's just too many options and you want to just try everything. And so the easiest way to kind of avoid the buffet blues is either to take a smaller plate, or again, like I said, just make sure you fill up half of it with vegetables. And the key to even eat before you go. Right. So, as I said, don't starve yourself in anticipation of, this huge monster meal at the party. And I see that people do this all the time. Prior to leaving home, force yourself to consume at least two nutritious meals before you go. But then if you're going to snack, and even get at least 50% full before you go to the event, right? So then you don't get there and they pour the chips in the bowl and you eat the whole bowl of chips, right? Get yourself, eat healthy food before you go, so that when you get there, maybe you only have a handful of chips versus the entire bowl. Because I want you to realize that the holidays will probably lead to somewhat out of control eating behaviors, maybe just some out of control behaviors. And maybe you will, you'll splurge slightly, you'll get out of your routine a little bit, and even just eat some foods that your body, it does not agree with your body. So the key is just to avoid being the victim. Think proactive as you're going into these events. And I love good, like, even holiday drinks, but you want to recognize that these are all just like liquid calories, right? And again, don't avoid eating all day to consume liquid calories at night, because that's probably not going to serve you the next day either. Because this, it might seem like an obvious strategy, but it's one that I can't not include here, because far too many people just fall victim to this, right? So whether it's eggnog or wine or beer or hard liquor or sugary drinks, you should, again, get yourself full. Make sure that you are consuming, foods going into this, because the wine and chips, again, isn't necessarily going to serve your body very well. And really try to balance those out. I mean, how your body deals with alcohol, but balance it out with just a ton of water, right? So a drink, and then a bottle of water, whatever, right? Get festive with your water. Put your wild orange and your grapefruit and your lemon essential oils in it, and just, drink it from a festive glass. Just try to balance it out for sure. And I want to focus too on more than just food, because people often spend their time, just even focusing on what they put in their mouth, and then what actually comes out of their mouth by means of conversation, right? So the key is controlling yourself during the holiday is to become really distracted by something other than, your high calorie foods, right? So I challenge you to really take the next couple weeks and just be intentional. Do things with intention. It's so easy to become distracted. When you are going all in, when you are playing that game with your kids, play that game. Tell stories, sing and dance, and just have fun, right? Because just like when we were kids, right? There was such magic in this time of year. And, at some point, we became boring adults, and the fun just kind of it's not there like it used to be, right? And I always thought I loved being a kid at Christmas, and don't get me wrong, I love even more watching my kids at Christmas. It's like this whole new level of joy, right? But I know for me, I'm really even we went to a breakfast with Santa for my husband's work on the weekend, and I was really trying to be intentional about just watching my kids have fun, right? And I was like, I'm sure I looked like that creepy lady just standing on the sidelines. My face physically hurt by the end of the day because I was just smiling so much. I loved watching my kids. I loved watching the other kids and just that magic, right? But I made sure that the people that I visited with were legitimately people that I haven't seen for maybe since this time last year or since the summer when we got together or whatever, and had fun, right? Like we were organizing the event, and I swore to myself that I would not get so into organizing it and making sure it went perfect that I forgot to have fun myself, right? So start with how you want to feel, and then you actually have to do the things that are going to make you feel that way. Okay. Even if it's starting a new tradition or whatever, right? But allowing your you want to still make sure that you're being aware of making sure that you're not surrounding by disorganization and clutter and all those things that are just going to stress you out at the end of the day. So it's not about throwing the perfect event or getting the perfect gift, right? Again, the biggest thing that you can do is to continue to take care of yourself over the next 2 weeks so that you can actually show up for your family in the way that you actually want to versus sitting down for 2 seconds or, buying them that perfect gift. And then, because you think when you were a kid, I remember some of the gifts I got. There was a few key ones that I was like, oh yeah, that was cool. Or I really wanted that year. But really, and what like my sisters and I talk about, and what my cousins and I talk about, what my parents and I talk about, it's the moments, right? It's remember when we did this, or remember we always used to do this. And that's what I want for my kids, right? Like that's, they're not going to remember all those, little things. And, even I remember the times where, my sisters and I would just like have competitions on who would have the longest Christmas list and all that kind of stuff. But then it still wasn't, we knew it wasn't just because it was a list, it didn't mean we were actually going to get those things. Right. So I really challenge you to, when you go to an event and you want to be present, have at least a 10-minute conversation with 5 people that you're really wanting to speak with before you dive into something that you're not going to necessarily remember, like the organizing part of the event or the food or whatever, right? So go in and make an intention to build relationships, and those are the things that will get you through the rest of the year, right? Next huge tip, and we've already kind of covered it, make sure you're getting up and moving. So it might be inevitable that you're going to just eat more, and but it doesn't mean that you have to move less. Okay, so outside of overconsumption during the holidays, people also tend to skip daily fitness routines. So there's no reason that everything needs to fall apart during the kind of the last leg of the race, right? So we're coming into the new year, and I really want to encourage you to make sure that you're moving intentionally, and having at least 30 minutes 4 times a week during the holiday season where you are moving intentionally, whatever that looks like. The other morning, the girls and I did yoga in our living room in our pajamas, right? But really just intentionally move. Don't be afraid to even get creative, right? So, have a dance party or a dance competition with your family. Go cut down that Christmas tree yourself. Get a partner and schedule some workouts in your calendar so that they are, a permanent fixture and a permanent marker, and you're meeting somebody at the gym. Park as far as possible. If you're going shopping, park as far as possible away from the mall so that you actually have to walk into the mall and then carry all those bags out. Play just different kinds of games with your family and your kids that will fill you with energy. And even if you have a pedometer, I challenge you absolutely to get that sucker on. And you can even, if you don't, you can download apps through your smartphone. And I challenge you to, get those 10,000 steps in, right? And even if you are a race runner, there's guaranteed holiday races coming up. Okay. So I want you to set an intention of what movement is going to look like for you in the next 2 weeks. That's a doozy. I know. And like I said, just as much as I'm asking you to move, I'm asking you to schedule calm down times as well. So, I know for a ton of people, the holidays are just really go, 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 go. And that day, all of a sudden, the day is over before you know it, and you feel like maybe you got nothing accomplished. And this is where I encourage you scheduling me time, those down times, when I love to do it when I first wake up in the morning, right? And it's kind of my time before the house gets going, more than ever during what can be very stressful for people time of year. It's important for you to set your tone. I like to do it first thing in the morning. Yours might be in the middle of the day or at night or whatever. But there is no time more peaceful than for me than the first few minutes in the morning, where I open my eyes and this is where I can practice my gratitude and just really I hold this time sacred for myself. I don't look at my to-do list. I don't check my email. I don't text or phone. I don't even just jump out of bed necessarily, right? So just take even the first 5 to 10 minutes of each day and reserve it for yourself, and whatever that looks like for you, right? Even you might want to get out of bed, or you might just fall back asleep. That's not helpful. But close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Again, entire classes that we've done on yoga and meditation. But imagine yourself in, just a beautiful state, and think about happy memories, and visualize yourself succeeding at whatever that goal is of yours. Okay. And I'm telling you, this practice in itself will transform you 100% if you can make it a ritual, and 21 days to create a habit. Right. So if you are looking to create some serious rituals, this is one that I absolutely recommend. And keep in mind that you can take, even 1 to 5 minute long relaxation breaks at any point throughout the day as well. Right. So it's just really a few minutes of just conscious, slow breathing that will help you just take any of those frustrations out, right? So I want you to plan in your calm time, okay? And then I want you, my next tip is, instead of looking at this time of year as a time to, spend money, I encourage you to just be generous in all aspects of your life, right? Be generous with your time, but be generous with your time with yourself as well. So not just with others, but just be generous, right? One of the best ways to stay calm, content, and cheerful this time of year is to just act generously with your loved ones and your colleagues and your friends. And this doesn't mean you need to spend a ton of money on crazy things, but the act of giving is one of the most rewarding experiences you can create for yourself. So whether this means, again, giving your time, giving a small gift, even just writing a note, right? Or, whether you're into Christmas cards, or just going out of your way to express gratitude. This is one of the biggest things that we can give and receive, right? Particularly this time of year when it really is a lot of giving. So, you can define generosity however best suits you, but during the holiday season, really make a commitment to experience the gift of helping others, helping the people that you care about. And, this is just really the ultimate solution to creating a stress-free holiday. So, as Anne Frank said, if you read Anne Frank's diary, no one has ever become poor by giving, ever. So keep that in mind, right? And just if you're even, tipping or gift giving or whatever, give it with gratitude, because it's all just energy. Just give it back to you, right? I'm going to make sure that I post, and I'll post the links right now, to some really healthy recipes, because I know that this is a key for many of you. So I'm posting some, and again, even if you're not paleo, there's some really good, it's from the livestrong.com, 10 paleo recipes, 10 plant-based recipes, healthy, there's healthy Thanksgiving recipes and healthy Christmas recipes. And then another one from a fitness magazine, it's lower calorie options. So, and if you have any other recipes that you want to share, please post them in the comments. Because I want you guys to really define what this is. So you guys have been saying, some of your goals are monetary. Some are, I actually want to come out of this feeling good in my body. And some of you have said, I want to feel good in my head, right? Emotionally, I want to be stable and balanced. So, I really want to empower you to take action this year, because you deserve to thrive. You've been, doing your thing all year long. We are like, finish it strong, right? And take control of your food, of your movement, of your stress. And, I want you to, really just own all of it, right? And, there might be that party that you have a few too many cocktails. Got to own that too, right? But, yes, the holidays can be stressful. Yes, you'll be exposed to just a ton of food. You might need to spend time with people that you don't necessarily enjoy. And yes, traveling can be exhausting. But this year will be different because you are deciding it's going to be different. Okay, you have already made the decision. So now it's up to you to prove to yourself that you can actually do it. And when you, just like with any goal, when you prove that you can rock this holiday season, then it will then roll over into the coming months, right? So I know you have what it takes to just make this the best yet. So I hope, how are you feeling? I hope that you're not completely overwhelmed. I really hope that you're feeling motivated, inspired, informed, and, positive, proactive feelings of motivation and inspiration will absolutely serve your energy in all areas of your life. And I really believe that if you can show yourself that you can rock this, it's going to then propel in other areas of your life as well. It's going to help you make healthier decisions, January through November of next year. And then when we talk next December, it's already going to be a habit, right? It won't be as much work, right? This year it might feel like work for you. Maybe last year felt like work for you. And this year you're like, nope, I got this because I was creating habits all year long, right? But whatever that was for you. But if you have any awesome recipes, any awesome tips, please feel free to post them. you know, I'm deeply passionate about helping you become the best version of yourself. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. And I want to, if you have any, you know, additional information or need any help, don't hesitate to reach out. One of the biggest things, again, you can do this year is asking for help, right? There is no, that is absolutely one of the best things that you can do for yourself. So ask for help. Remember to take care of yourself, and you guys got this. Have an awesome holiday season. See ya.